Hello everyone, Jack here again for Forbidden Planet TV, once again in the epicentre of pop culturedom here at Forbidden Planet HQ in the FPTV studio, going through my new comic book day pickups, everything that I'm grabbing off the shelf this week, a couple of honourable mention new number ones, and obviously, as always, a couple of variants I'm picking up. So let's get cracking to see what I'm picking up this week. Kicking off, or should I say punching off, is DC's huge, massive crossover event of the year, and that is of course DC KO, this wonderful Daniel Rowan Johnson cover showing off Wonder Woman's flying knee to Joker's face. Yes, this huge battle royale Mortal Kombat style tournament for the Heart of Apocalypse continues in issue 2. All of the remaining contestants must do to proceed to the next round, to get down to the last 16, is to grab their weapons. Yes, a smorgasbord of powerful weapons and items have made their way to the battlefield, and the remaining combatants must do what they can to pick their weapons. I'm expecting a lot of very wacky mashups in this issue. I know for a fact that the Joker gets his hands on something pretty powerful, and I'm excited to see where that lands. Yes, issue 2 of DC KO is out this week. Now, moving away from the hyperbolic universe-ending stakes of DC KO, we move into something a little bit more close to home, and that is with the 4th issue of Rick Remender and Daniel Acuna's Escape. As I say, one of my favourite ongoing titles, this sombre lens with which to view warfare, and Milton, our protagonist, as he finds himself further behind enemy lines and not just at war with his enemy, but at war with his morals and with his understanding of what this battle is. And that started to sort of creep in issue 3. Again, issue 2 just gave us a glimpse at Milton's life before the war, and I think we're getting a little bit more of that here, a bit more understanding of the sacrifices he made, maybe in a sense the escape, not just from normalcy in a lot of ways as well, a kind of reluctance to admit feeling stuck in his situation in his life, and maybe viewing this war, this conflict, as a chance of adventure. He feels like he's lost in normalcy, in the things that we sacrifice for the people that we love, in building a life for ourselves. And I think that's explored and going to be explored a lot more in this series, a lot more in issue 4, and I think that's going to hit Milton in a very sobering reality. And I love this series, I adore it in all the right ways. Daniel Acuna's art is just so stunning, and Remender's care with which he's written this story is apparent throughout. And I believe the letter page actually in the back of this issue has been broken up with more information about Melvin Remender, Rick Remender's grandfather, who was a catalyst for him writing this series, and I think that's going to also give a lot more context and a lot more weight to the series. So yeah, looking forward to reading Escape issue 4. The independent publishers are knocking out of the park this week, not just from Image with Escape, but also from Bad Idea, one of the most exciting new publishers on the comic book block, and Cul-de-sac is also issue 4 this week. This Runaways-esque vampire mania continues. Gale and the rest of the kids whose vampiric powers are beginning to manifest themselves in grotesque and spooky ways are still on the run, not just from the vampiric harpies of their extended vampire family, but also from the vampire hunters. And it is very much like an adult Percy Jackson in so many ways. It's got so many of the same and similar beats from the first book, from The Lightning Thief, or you may have seen it in the film as well. Obviously there's the movie and the musical. You might have seen a musical. So I find a lot of joy and a lot of humour in reading Cul-de-sac, which I don't know if I'm meant to, and I'm sure that's just like such a coincidence and comes from a very specific context in the reading that I've done, and a lot of people may have done as well. But Mike Carey's doing such a great job. It's so silly, it's also super violent, it's gut-wrenching. Jonathan Weishak is, again, very much similar with Jeffrey Allen Love and Chris Condon from News from the Fallout. I wasn't very aware of Weishak prior to this book, but now I can't get enough. It's insane line work. I'm going to show some on the screen because it's just immense, to say the least. I also presume he's the colorist because the way the color is laid in with the line work is so symbiotic. There's no way it wasn't done simultaneously, or the colours weren't laid at the same time as the inks, because it's just mental. So much craft has gone into this book, and all of the Bad Idea lines, actually all the titles from Bad Idea have clearly had a lot of work put into them, and you feel that in the page, you feel that when you pick it up, not just physically in the great paper stock and in the brilliant designs, but just in the stories themselves. They hold themselves so well independently of each other, and independent of all the other stuff that's coming out on the shelf, and they're such a treat to read. So yeah, Cul-de-sac issue 4. Now, just before possibly one of the biggest issues of the series drops in a month's time, Absolute Batman issue 15, the reveal of the Joker, is up next. But before that can happen, before we see Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta's master plan for this iteration of the Joker, we must first finish what was started, the concluding chapter of Abomination, the final showdown between Batman and Bane, and Wayland Killer Croc is here. If you've been keeping up with the series, you know just how big this fight is. It's all been leading to this. So if you are planning on picking up Absolute Batman 15, if you've not been reading the ongoings, I highly recommend jumping back and reading a few of the earlier issues. There's plenty of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th, millionth printings of Absolute Batman currently available. DC are doing everything they can to make sure the single issues are available for you to pick up, to catch up before this momentous occasion, before this humongous milestone in the series next month. And go in with some context, because it only adds to the mystique, the allure, and the pure danger of Absolute Joker. So yes, the final showdown with Bane is this week in Absolute Batman issue 14. And now being mind controlled as the mysterious assassin El Zombie, Jimmy Palmiotti's and Dan Panosian's Marvel Knights Punisher issue 2 is here. Very Sicario in its way. We have the Punisher, Frank Castle, up against a huge Mexican drug cartel. And after the events of the first issue, we know that Frank has his work cut out from him, not just escaping the clutches of El Mundo, but also in regaining control of himself. It reads like the finest of 80s gangster movies. Yeah, Punisher, Marvel Knights Punisher is just a great deal of fun. Issue 1 came out swinging with the artwork from Panosian, and I don't think any of the abrasiveness in Jimmy Palmiotti is just hitting the mark with every panel, with every page, in telling this pulp Miami-esque, you know, very super 80s filmic noir. It's fantastic. I really am enjoying it. If you're a fan of things like Scarface and Goodfellas, and you know, even stuff like Shaft, those kind of like really wacky, great cop gangster drama things, yeah, it's definitely in that sphere, it's in that world, and it's doing a great job. Now, a DC Black Label title I've been looking forward to ever since it was solicited all those many months ago is Batman Green Arrow: The Question, Arcadia. Yes, this is a new DC Black Label series, which is their obviously more mature imprint. Gabriel Hardman and Romulo Fajardo Jr. are taking centre stage as the creative team between this trio crossover, very much in the same vein, and as an homage to those classic 80s and 90s much darker pulp DC stories. Mike Grell's Green Arrow obviously being a huge influence. You can see that already just in the cover and in the artwork inside Jim Apato's Batman, and Dennis O'Neil and Dennis Cohen's Question series. This is certainly a return from Gabriel Hardman, artist writer, to the hard-boiled detective stories of DC's infamy, and with this cast of characters, I can't wait to see where it goes. So Arcadia is definitely one to be picking up off the shelf this week. Finally, for the new single issues I'm picking up off the shelf this week, I actually have not yet finished the Precursor series. I've been borrowing the trades from Vic, the manager in Camden, Forbidden Planet Camden, but there's no way I wasn't going to pick up issue 1 of the Infernal Hulk. Yes, Philip Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein are continuing their smash hit run on the Incredible Hulk as the series morphs into a much darker, devastating iteration of the Hulk. If you're looking to pick up a new #1, I certainly recommend Infernal Hulk. I don't doubt that everything will be recontextualized and made accessible to new readers. Philip Kennedy Johnson is the master of that, and he's actually just signed a new exclusivity deal with Marvel, which means that he's going to be one of the driving forces of their upcoming titles and their ongoing releases for at least a few years now. So you might as well jump in whilst the iron is hot, because the catalyst for the new age of PKJ at Marvel basically begins here. So yeah, a great week of comics as ever here at Forbidden Planet, with plenty of things to get excited about and be picking up. Plenty of new #1s, and quite a lot of my ongoing series come out that sort of land on this same week. So I always look forward to it, because it means that I've got a massive back catalogue to catch up with before next week's comics hit the shelf, and I get to do it all over again. If there's anything you've seen in this video that you want to take a look at, head down to your local Forbidden Planet. We have 10 locations across the country, or have a little look at what else is on offer this week and in the upcoming weeks, because you can head to forbiddenplanet.com to check out all the comic book pre-orders and all of this week's new releases on the website, and have them delivered straight to your door. As always, a massive thank you for watching these videos and supporting Forbidden Planet TV. If you haven't done already, please do subscribe. There's plenty of other content that comes out. For example, you can now watch Kelly Yates, the artist behind Forbidden Planet's Christmas campaign this year, be interviewed by the ever wonderful and the ever masterful Andrew Sumner, as they talk about not only Kelly's career and their relationship to each other, but also how this artwork was created, the conversations behind it, and how it reached its final iteration, which you can now also see in store at all Forbidden Planets as we gear up for the Christmas period, which is always the most wonderful time of the year. Again, thank you as ever for watching, and tune in next week for a host of new comics. Thanks very much.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV, and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.